Greetings to all viewers of the Freedom TV channel. Thank you for watching and analyzing the events happening in Ukraine and the world with us. My name's Yuri Kulinich. This is our time and the main news for this hour. Russian troops continue massive attacks on Ukrainian cities. Several regions were under attack tonight: Kherson, Zaporizhzhia, and Odesa. In Kherson, Russian shelling resulted in the deaths of 2 people, and 2 others were injured. One of the drones hit a residential building. The identities of the deceased are currently being established. The Russian attack did not bypass Odesa either. The city was subjected to a drone strike. One of them hit an apartment on the 5th floor of a residential building. The owners were not home at the time of the shelling, so there have been no reports of casualties, city authorities report. Emergency and municipal services are working on the scene. A headquarters has been set up to deal with the aftermath of the strike. The Russian army also attacked the Poltava region. Yesterday evening, a drone strike was recorded on the territory of one of the industrial enterprises in the Myro district. A fire broke out. Despite the threat of repeated shelling, rescuers promptly extinguished the fire. There is no information about deaths or injuries. The next target of the strike was Zaporizhzhia. The city was attacked simultaneously with missiles and drones. After 9 in the morning, a drone struck a bus near the village of Ukrainka. A 53-year-old man was wounded. As a result of the overnight shelling in Zaporizhzhia, a residential building and a construction shopping center were damaged, where a large-scale fire broke out. In addition, about 1,200 subscribers were left without electricity. This was reported by the Regional Military Administration. Information about casualties is being clarified.
The enemy attacked the regional center with unmanned aerial vehicles. Fortunately, there were no casualties. As a result of the shelling, a shopping center caught fire. Rescuers extinguished the fire over an area of 10,000 square meters. Extinguishing the fire was complicated by the threat of repeated strikes. Rescuers were forced to suspend their work and head to shelter.
The Russian army shelled Kyiv and the region with drones this morning. Explosions were heard in the capital's suburbs, and there were impacts in the region. In the Brovary district, a fire broke out in warehouse buildings as a result of a drone attack. 1 person was injured, according to the Regional Military Administration. The defense forces of Ukraine carried out a unique operation to strike a naval base in Novorossiysk tonight. This is the last major stronghold of the Russian fleet in the Black Sea. This was announced by the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. Our Palyanetsia jet drones, Neptune missiles, and naval drone systems accurately hit their designated targets. Hits on air defense positions, piers, and the seaport infrastructure have been confirmed. The occupying fleet and all the infrastructure that supports it will not be safe as long as Russian aggression continues. The war must be stopped, and all reasonable proposals for diplomacy are on the negotiating table. Volodymyr Zelensky, president of Ukraine, on Telegram. At the same time, Ukraine has ceased intensive drone attacks on oil tankers that use the port in Novorossiysk. This was done at the request of U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. And we should emphasize that we are talking about vessels transporting Kazakh oil. Washington is concerned that Ukraine could further destabilize oil markets and harm American companies by shelling tankers that transport oil from Kazakhstan to the Caspian Pipeline Consortium terminal at the port, the Financial Times reports. The publication notes that Kyiv agreed to the Trump administration's request because, in turn, it needs a license to produce interceptor missiles for Patriot air defense systems and wants to purchase several hundred munitions before the start of winter. Ukrainian ground-based robotic systems, Ulitka, will be produced in Denmark. A corresponding memorandum was signed by Ukrainian and Danish companies. As reported by the National Association of Defense Industries of Ukraine, the partners have already identified a site for production. They plan to produce more than 3,000 robotic systems per year. The Ulitka robotic ground system is capable of carrying up to 500 kilograms of cargo and towing a trailer weighing up to 4.5 tons. The stated mission range is up to 40 kilometers. Druzhkivka in the Donetsk region is in a critical situation due to regular shelling by the Russian Federation Army. There is no water or gas supply, and there is no electricity. Repair crews cannot begin restoration work due to drone attacks by the Russian Federation. At the same time, according to the regional administration, more than 3,500 people continue to remain in the city. Police officers from the White Angel unit are evacuating civilians. How such evacuations take place right now on our broadcast.
Druzhkivka, a city in the Donetsk region, regularly suffers from Russian shelling. The civilian population can no longer evacuate on their own. The greatest threat is the invaders' drones. An armored vehicle is sent for those who decide to leave. Last week, 260 civilians were successfully evacuated from Druzhkivka.
Request for the non-school settlement. 2 people. Then we will go to Druzhkivka. A woman with limited mobility will be waiting for us there. The situation in Druzhkivka is getting more and more difficult every day.
As a result of daily Russian shelling, the homes of local residents are turning into ruins. Those who remain in Druzhkivka are forced to constantly hide in shelters or move to other parts of the city.
I live on the 5th floor.
That's the top floor. It's become very scary. Drones have started flying in here constantly, hitting the 9th and 5th floors. I had to move in with friends. There are neighbors there. Well, we left. I moved to a neighbor's place.
The city has been left without centralized gas, electricity, and water supply. To support the local population, people are being brought drinking water and humanitarian aid kits.
We go to the point of invincibility to get in touch with our relatives and let them know we're alive and well. There hasn't been any electricity, gas, connection, or internet for a long time.
When evacuating from the city, people take their documents and essential items with them, and they also take their pets.
I worked at the bakery and a cat gave birth there. I took this one, then this black one jumped out at the bakery, and then later a gray one at the substation. It was crying. Well, we used to have dogs, now we have cats.
The woman says she finally decided to leave. Just a few days ago, her husband died as a result of a Russian attack.
He was riding his bicycle, and a drone fell and shrapnel hit him. Another man was wounded there too, but
The White Angels make trips into the combat zone several times a day to evacuate as many people as possible from the danger zone. According to the Donetsk Regional Administration, more than 3,500 people still remain in Druzhkivka. Dmitro Hlushko from the Donetsk region for the Freedom TV channel.
The United States of America attacked a cargo ship flying the Panamanian flag that was attempting to violate the American blockade of Iran in the Gulf of Oman. The United States Central Command reported this on the social network X, formerly known as Twitter. A U.S. Navy helicopter fired 2 Hellfire missiles at the ship's engine room after the crew failed to respond to several warnings from American forces. According to the command, the vessel's no longer moving toward Iran. As of August 11th, according to CENTCOM, U.S. forces have redirected 55 ships that attempted to bypass the blockade, disabled 3 vessels that refused to comply, and boarded 2 others for inspection. At the same time, Washington is also increasing economic pressure. A bipartisan bill on sanctions against Russia and Iran, which previously received near unanimous support in the Senate, has been submitted to the House of Representatives for consideration. If the document is approved, it could go almost immediately to Donald Trump for his signature. The initiative provides for tariffs of up to 500% on Russian goods, as well as new restrictions against Russian banks and vessels of the so-called shadow fleet.
Putin's war machine runs on oil, money, and the willingness of others to turn a blind eye. And Lindsey Graham's 2026 sanctions bill against Russia and Iran blocks all 3 of these avenues, increasing the cost of the war for Putin and reducing his ability to sustain aggression. This law strengthens the path to a just and lasting peace, a peace that is defined by Ukraine, not imposed by Russia. America will not encourage aggression and will not abandon those who defend their sovereign right to a free life. Brian Fitzpatrick, U.S. Congressman.
The U.S. and 40 other countries have issued a joint statement on providing 24-hour advance notice for intercontinental ballistic missile launches. The document notes that recent missile tests in the Pacific region took place without the notifications and incident prevention measures adopted by most nations. Countries are requested to specify the class of the missile, the launch area, and the flight path, as well as to warn sailors and pilots about impact or landing zones. Stay at the center of events wherever you are. Live broadcasts, exclusive projects, and breaking reports from all over the planet are now on your smartphone. The whole world in one Freedom Act. Scan the QR code, download it right now, and get access to important content.
Subscribe to UATV English and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.